What the fuck's up? It's Warriors jacket. It is, yeah. Warriors. If you know, you know.
Chris, talk about this matchup, man. Obviously, a former tough winner, a title challenger. I mean, a guy that's been around the game for a long time. Does this feel like a big fight in your career?
I think everything at this point in my life is a big fight just because I am where I am. Yeah, tough winner, title challenger. That's cool, man. But this is my 41st fight, I think, 40th fight, something like that. So, I mean, what changes? He's a guy, like I say, unless he's going to come out, unless he can throw a fucking fireball or like start flying or some shit that I haven't seen before, like what's he going to do that I haven't seen?
Right.
Maybe he does some shit different, but like what's going to change? Like I've got 40 fights. I've seen a lot. Like I can't. One of my coaches said the best. You're not fighting Kelvin Gastelum, the title challenger. You're not fighting Kelvin Gastelum, the tough winner. You're fighting Kelvin Gastelum, the man. Like, he's just a man. And I fought 40 other men as a professional, so, nothing changes.
Does it do matchups excite you, though, when it is a name that has some star power attached to it or whatever? I mean, does it matter to you at all?
It does, man. It does to me. It matters a lot just because it took me so long to get here and so much work to get here. So I want those hard fights, but for me, it's it can become the pressure can become really, really heavy when I'm trying because I don't want to see my stock decline. It took me so long to get here, and like there's still so many people that look past me, and like I hate seeing my stock decline. But at the same time, I have to remember that what am I 30-9 now? I've beat 30 people. I've lost to 9. Like you're going to take wins and losses, lumps on the road. So at this point, I kind of I stopped letting myself get so freaked out about it, man. Like I had 5 days ago, I had a fucking freak out at practice. And they're like, what is wrong with you? And I get in my own head because I have a habit of wanting to be perfect. I want everything to go perfect. I want to train perfect. I want to perform perfect, everything. And I got to remind myself, man, that perfect is the enemy of good. And like sometimes good is enough, especially, I train 7 days a week, year round. I don't take time off. And like, I respect Kelvin a lot, man. Like, he's got his camp changed. He said he's healthy, and that's cool. But I know for a fact that he hasn't been disciplined for 15 years, and I've lived every day of my last 15 years disciplined. So I don't care if he's had a really good camp and got shit together. I'm not going to let one camp overwrite 15 years of hard work and sacrifice. I refuse.
Nice. How do you get ready for a guy like that that's in the circumstance? Like you said, it's just an opponent, it's just a guy, but a guy that hasn't competed in over a year, a guy that has changed camps. I mean, do you look at his old tape and say, well, the guy's going to be the same guy, or do you have to say, well, he could be totally different? I mean, how do you prep?
Man, this is a this is a hard camp for me, man, because Kelvin's a guy. There's a tale of two Kelvins. Are you going to get the guy that fought Izzy and made him fight his ass off? Or are you going to get the guy who's like eating burritos the week before fight week? So you never know what form of Kelvin you're going to get, or maybe somewhere in the middle is his true form. Who knows? So for this, if it was up to me, I would have done a lot more differently. But fortunately, I have like managers and coaches who are like, hey, stop being a weirdo. Like, we're going to focus on you. Like, we're going to do focus on the stuff you need to do. We're not going to worry about him. We'll work on things that I want to do, things that I want to improve on. And for any fight, I've always said, looking too hard into your opponent's kind of a waste of time because you never know who's going to show up. Especially with Kelvin, it's even more so. I have no idea what Kelvin's going to come out. We have like a likely game plan that he'll do, but like who knows? So you can't focus on Kelvin, man. For me, it's just working on stuff we wanted to work on. Specifically, we kind of got some shorter guys in, faster guys. My boy Val Woodburn came in to help me out. Drew Dober helped me out, gave me a look. Joaquin Buckley came out to give me a look. Ty Reuters on the southpaw gave me a look. So we had a bunch of different looks for what Kelvin could want to do. So we covered all of our bases. We had John Poppy, who's another good guy, Gabriel Checo. So we had a lot of guys like giving me a lot of different like possible Kelvin looks. So like I say, unless he comes out and starts flying and throwing fireballs, we've seen it all.
Well, the fighter cliche is that I want the best version of that guy that I've ever seen. That's who I want to fight. But you're kind of known for keeping it real. Would you really like the best version of Kelvin Gastelum that's ever been, or would you like the burrito guy so it's a little bit easier fight for you?
Give me the burrito guy, honestly. I'm totally fine with that. Here's the thing, guys. I love fighting. I love the violence of it. I love the aspect of it. So part of me is I do want the best Kelvin. We can go out there and have a war, and I do want to have a war. But I'm if I could just have a burrito guy and just kind of go beat him up and get I'll take either or. But at this point in my life, man, I want to go hang out in Miami. I don't want to do that shit all bruised up. So I'll fight the burrito guy if he shows up. Cool.
Last thing for me, listen, you are in the rankings now. Like I said, you've been at this game for a long time. It feels like, I don't know, this is kind of the moment or whatever. What do you have goals this year? Hey, I want to be in the top 5 by the end of this year. Or I want to do this. Do you let yourself get caught up in that and where you stand, especially now that you are officially a ranked contender?
I kind of set. It's weird. I'm weird, man. I don't really like setting. I don't believe in really setting goals like that because I think that one or two things happens to you. You either never reach that goal and you hit yourself, or you reach that goal and then people get complacent. So I never really give myself goals. My goal has been, honestly, it hasn't really changed since I started fighting. Well, I had one stretch goal really was to get in the UFC. I'm here, but my overall goal has always been just to go as far as I can go. I want to see how far I can go. I want to reach my limit, and I want to try to push through that limit. If I don't push through it, I'm fuck, all right, this is where that's my limit. If I get through it, all right, that wasn't my limit, we'll keep going. My goal has always been to go as far as I can go. Outside of that, just having fun, man, enjoying my life, enjoying, the rewards of all the sacrifice. So, fuck it, no goals. Why put that limit on yourself? Let's just enjoy the ride and see where I go.
Hey, mate, you mentioned, unless he starts throwing fireballs, you've probably pretty much seen all there is to see. I'm curious, when was the last time you were in a fight and the other guy did something that you're like, what the fuck was that?
So, Jack Hermanson started throwing, jumping, flying teeps. And I'm like, what are you doing right now? It was so weird because you don't really get running, flying teeps. And Jack Hermanson kept doing it. And I'm looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? And it didn't hurt. It didn't land. I'm just looking at him like, why are we we are gentlemen. We agreed to have a fist fight. I'm fine with you kicking me, but why are you being weird? So that was the last time I was like, I don't know what the hell you're doing, bro. Stop it. But outside of that, it doesn't really come up too often. Holy hell. Actually, before I got signed to UFC, I fought Kenny Robertson, and former UFC guy. And everything he did was functionally wrong. And I've had more trouble in that fight than I care to admit. Every time I look back on it, I'm just like, everything you did was functionally wrong. But I'm just like, you can't train for crazy fists. And he's moving his hands weird, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm fucking doing. In my corner, they're like, oh, why aren't you stopping him? I'm like, bro, I don't want to be close to him because this isn't normal. None of us have trained this. I don't know if he's trained it, but yeah, weird shit works.
Chris, over here. I know you said you weren't really worried or focused on Kelvin, but when they brought...
I didn't say worried. I said focused. I knew that.
Fair. When they brought you this name, were you concerned at all that he wouldn't make it to the fight, given how his last 3 fights, he kind of made it to the finish line and then had to pull out?
It was a thing. My management and coaches had to have a discussion with me, okay, we're going to prepare for this fight. We're preparing for Kelvin, but we'll be aware that, he's had some mishaps. And it sucks. And I feel like people give Kelvin a lot of shit because he had to pull out a bunch of fights. But you guys got to remember, I'm older than Kelvin, but he's got a lot of mileage on him. He's been in a lot of wars. He's been doing this for a long time. That shit adds up. I'm really fortunate that I've got really good I call it genes that were close to the source material. I'm very black physically, so I age very. I'm serious. I age very well. I don't get hurt. I recover fast. Even at 35, I still recover pretty fast. I got good source genes. Kelvin's not so lucky, so injuries add up for a lot of people. He keeps getting injured. And it fucking happens, man. It's a hard sport. So, I'm never going to shit on a guy because, your body, you didn't luck out on the genetic lottery there. So, it's a concern. We're be prepared if it changes. But once again, because they're trying to focus on working on me and not just, what's Kelvin going to do? If it did change, we're working on what I wanted to do. So, it's not that bad.
In that stat of yours, the 100% takedown defense has been floated around a lot in the build-up to this fight. Even Kelvin brought it up. He's like, well, he's never been taken down. Maybe I have to mix it up. Is that stat a point of pride for you, or do you not even think about that?
No, it's a joke to me because we laugh about it because it's such a weird. It's such a. Actually, me and Rodolfo Vieira, I joke about this a lot because Rodolfo, every time anything comes up, Rodolfo's like, "Hey, that's my stat. I gave that to you," and we laugh about it. But to me, it's funny. Like, it is a little bit point of pride because like I struggled with wrestling early in my career. Before we had a gym change, Extreme Couture, and they really sat me down, had a heart to heart, like, "Hey, man, your wrestling sucks." Like, I was trained coming from boxing to like counter wrestle, and they're like, "That's not how you do this." So I essentially had to go to Extreme and relearn how to wrestle, and like not just wrestling defensively, but like learning how to actually wrestle. And it kind of took away my fear of being taken down. So it's a point of pride, like, okay, I'm better than I was, but holding on to that stat means nothing to me because like you're in a fight, like weird shit's gonna happen. You can be the best boxer in the world and get dropped. You can be the best wrestler in the world and get taken down. Like, that stat means nothing because if I do get taken down, I don't care about being taken down. I care about my ability to scramble and get up. And, like, that's the difference that I learned from, like, being at Extreme to, like, being at, I was at Syndicate before and, like, Quest before and everything else. The difference I learned that, like, getting taken down means nothing. In my entire career, I was kind of afraid, like, okay, if I get taken down, I fucked up, right? That was a mindset I have. Now I'm like, okay, if I get taken down, I don't really care if you take me down. It's fine. I could do everything right and still get taken down. It matters if you can hold me there or prevent me from getting up. So, honestly, it's a cool stat to have because, like, for someone who did suck at wrestling for a long time, it's great. But honestly, fuck that stat.
And then a couple more for me. It was announced Endeavor bought the majority rights to the WWE, so kind of UFC and WWE are a package deal now. What do you make of that news and being coworkers with the WWE at this point?
I asked around, and apparently my pay doesn't change, so I don't give a fuck.
Sure. And then how do you see the main event playing between Alex and Izzy, the rematch?
So I keep getting asked this, and like yesterday, like the media people asked me as I'm signing a poster of like I'm signing the posters, and I look down before I answer. Fucking like Pereira, he's sitting there looking at me like it's like angry face, just staring at me in that poster. So I'm always afraid to say anything. I'm not an Izzy fan. I'm not a fan of the fighting style, like the point fighting approach until something happens. Just not, nothing against him, no disrespect. He's a good champ. Just not a fan of it. I prefer Pereira. But at this, my mind says Pereira. At this point, though, my heart says it has to be Izzy. At this man has created his own boogeyman. You guys see the thing where he's like, Pereira said he only came to MMA because Izzy said like he'll be forgotten, nobody cares about him. So he followed him. I'm like, this guy took your life in kickboxing. You left to make a new life, and he followed you out of like spite. So now I kind of feel for Izzy. Like, he has to win this fight. If he doesn't win this fight, and he's an anime guy too. I am too. So I'm thinking like the only thing left to do is either throw yourself off of a cliff, or like you sacrifice you go find a Cthulhu Eldritch Abomination. You make sacrifices and you like ruin the world out of spite. Like the dude has to. So Izzy has to win for our sakes because like that dude is gonna be at the end of his rope, and like he has a personal boogeyman, and I fucking feel for him. Like that's a terrifying thought to know like you like everything you do. Like Alex Pereira is like looking over your shoulder, like just scowling. And apparently he's the nicest man ever. I run into Pereira like so many times. Nicest dude ever. Very nice, very just a cool dude. But he just stands there like fucking Michael Myers in the background of Izzy's life. And I'm like, bro, I feel bad for you. You have to win. So I feel like Izzy's going to give it his absolute everything, die in the ring if he has to, because this is just you got people like, oh, you can't run from your demons. Like, your demon has a name, and like he's going to be there on Saturday. So, like, good fucking luck, bro.
Well, I have never heard a fighter bring up Cthulhu at Media Day. You a big HP Lovecraft fan?
I am a huge Lovecraft fan, besides the insane racism, like, and xenophobia and everything else. Like, yeah, but, I'm not going to be mad at it. It's a product of our time. It's cool. But I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, big guy. So I always try to slide in random Cthulhu references when I can.
Chris.
Hello.
For the first time in 20 years, UFC is here in Miami. So I'm just your thoughts of being on this big card and also having it here in South Florida in Miami.
I am really happy to be on this card. It's really cool. We get to be on big cards, and I think Media Day is different on the very, very big cards. I like it. I like Miami, Florida. We have mixed feelings about. I've never lost in Florida, which is great. On the flip side, Florida has cost me a lot of money. I have an issue with Cuban women and strippers. And my manager Lance back there shaking his head because Cuban strippers cost me a lot of money in the past. And I make terrible decisions with Cuban women. So, like, I'm excited, man. I love the atmosphere and to be in Florida. I've never lost here. But at the same time, I'm not leaving my hotel room unless I'm supervised.
And then my last question for me is, you're part of this big show. I'm just curious, was there part of you that wanted to be on the main card? You always still want to be on the main card. You made the prelims, but is there still some inside of you, or it doesn't matter?
I'm kind of over it now. Like, it's kind of cool, man. Like, the UFC is like a something billion-dollar company, right? And it's really weird when like you're upset about something, you say shit. Like when like Mick Maynard like got a hold of me. Like Mick's one of the top guys up there, my matchmaker. But what other company do you have? We get mad at work and like one of the main people calls you like, why are you so upset? So for me, the thing was when I started this like 15 years ago, when I first started, I was I was a pro 15 years ago. So maybe like, I don't know, who knows the numbers. Like around 15 years ago, when I started this, there was no undercard guys. There was no like prelim. There was no fight pass and like all of that stuff. So you were on a UFC card and that was it. I am a dinosaur in terms of change. I don't like change. It scares me. Like I don't like things being different, which is why I started on a fucking Android and I can't go to Apple because like I'm invested and like, you know, I'm that guy. So I understand that, like, the model is different. We have, like, the prelim things. But there's still that part of me that's, like, 15-year-old. I always say I'm the last of the old school generation of fighters. So, like, for me, it's, like, just main card or bust, main card or bust. So I finally had Mick broke it down to me. He's fine. So he's really cool about that. So, like, thanks, Mick Maynard, for not being mad at me and, like, taking time to explain stuff to me. So I accept it. It's fine. Like, I'm in a good spot. Career-wise, it's good. It gets me exposure. It gets my team exposure. So I'm good with it. Like, I appreciate it.
Chris, over here to your left. Quick question for you. You opened up as a favorite in this fight, betting-wise, and now you've kind of moved to a slight underdog. You've been one of the most profitable bettors or fighters to bet on as an underdog. I'm just kind of curious, like, do you embrace being the underdog? Do you like the underdog role? I'm just kind of curious your take on that.
I used to put more thought into it. Like, it used to bother me. I used to be the guy, like, hunting every, like, prediction video, making comments. And now I realize people suck, and people will turn on you for the drop of a hat. Like, so I've since realized that. Like, now I just don't care. Like, being an underdog or being a favorite doesn't affect my pay. So I'm just not going to give it any mind. Like, it's great because you'll get people talking straight to you, like, oh, blah, 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 you're going to lose. I'm betting against you. And I love when they lose money. I absolutely love it, but like, I don't put anything into it. People like make money on me. Great. I'm glad to help. Like, don't send me anything. It's yours. I'm glad, we're in this together. I care about you. You care about me. It's cool. But at the end of the day, man, I think after the London card kind of taught me I had to kind of divest myself from things like that because I put too much into it for a long time just because I never got to be here and I wanted to I wanted to be that guy that people loved and whatever. Then I realized people suck and they're fickle. So now I'm like, fuck it, man. If it doesn't affect me, my team, my family, or my paycheck, I don't care.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.